Chosen one, if you have been praying in silence, working with empty hands, carrying pressure no one sees, and wondering why the door still has not opened, listen closely. What is moving toward you now is not ordinary help. Heaven has opened a direct line of provision with your name on it. Something has shifted in the unseen realm. A channel of supply, favor, guidance, and divine assistance has been authorized over your life. Not because you have been perfect, not because you never doubted, not because you have earned the right to be blessed in front of people who once overlooked you. This is happening because God saw your faithfulness when nobody applauded it. He saw the years you kept going while your heart was tired. He saw the private tears, the delayed answers, the moments when you almost walked away but still chose obedience. You did not arrive at this word by accident. Something deeper than curiosity brought you here. There are people who will pass by this message and feel nothing, but if your spirit is trembling, if something inside you is saying, "This is speaking directly to me," then stay with every word. This is not merely a sermon about money or breakthrough. This is a divine awakening for someone who has lived too long under the weight of lack, delay, and silent disappointment. You are not forgotten. You are not behind. You are not outside the plan. The delay was not punishment. It was positioning. And now your position has changed. There is a particular kind of tiredness carried by those who are standing at the edge of a new provision season. It is not the tiredness of laziness. It is not the fatigue of someone who refused responsibility. It is the exhaustion of a person who kept showing up, kept believing, kept doing the right thing, and still watched the visible result arrive slowly, or not at all. You tried doors that did not open. You followed instructions that seemed to produce no immediate reward. You gave your best in places that did not value your sacrifice. You stayed faithful, while others moved ahead faster, and somewhere deep inside, a quiet question began to form. God, did you forget where I am? But heaven is answering that question now. You were never forgotten. You were being positioned. The delay was never proof that the supply was absent. The delay was the process of moving you into the place where the supply could reach you without destroying you. Because God does not merely send provision. He prepares the vessel that must carry it. And there are signs that this direct line has already begun to open. The first sign is sudden clarity. Not a complete map, not every detail, not the full explanation of how everything will work, but one specific next step, becoming clear in your spirit. Something you did not force, something you did not manufacture, something that arrived quietly but carried weight. Do not dismiss that clarity because it came softly. Heaven often speaks deepest without noise. When God is preparing to fund an assignment, He first reveals direction, because divine provision does not chase confusion. It follows purpose. The second sign is a holy restlessness rising inside you. Things you once tolerated no longer feel bearable. Environments you once adjusted to now feel too small for your spirit. Conversations that once seemed normal now drain something out of you. This is not because you have become ungrateful, impatient, or difficult. This is because your inner world is responding to an upgraded season. When heaven prepares to move you, it often makes the old place uncomfortable before the new place becomes visible. God knows that some people will stay too long in rooms they were only meant to pass through. So He allows the atmosphere to feel tight. He allows the familiar to lose its peace. He allows the old pattern to become heavy, not to punish you, but to awaken movement in you. Your discomfort is not always a problem to fix. Sometimes it is a compass. Sometimes it is the mercy of God pulling you out of what would have quietly limited your future. The third sign is small, unexpected provision. Not the full breakthrough yet, not the complete overflow, but early traces of what is coming. A bill being handled, a refund appearing, a conversation opening a door, a person remembering your name at the right time, a small opportunity showing up without your striving. Do not despise these little releases. Heaven often tests your attention with small streams before it opens the river. What arrived quietly may be the first evidence that the line is active. What came without your manipulation may be the sign that God is already moving ahead of you. The fourth sign is that your spirit can no longer tolerate certain voices of lack and limitation. People who once felt neutral now feel heavy. Conversations that used to seem harmless now leave you drained. Environments filled with fear, complaint, mockery, and small thinking now feel like they are pressing against something sacred inside you. This is not pride, this is protection. Your spirit is becoming sensitive to the atmosphere required for what God is building in you. The direct line of provision does not flow freely in places where every sentence is soaked in impossibility. When heaven is preparing you to receive something greater, it often makes you allergic to the language that would kill your faith before the promise arrives. The fifth sign is a persistent impression that provision is connected to purpose. You are no longer thinking only about survival. You are beginning to sense that what is coming is not just for your comfort. It is for something you are called to build, carry, restore, or release into the lives of others. Wealth, in this season, is not the destination. It is the vehicle. That is why the enemy fought your confidence so deeply. He was not only attacking your finances, he was attacking the assignment attached to your finances. He knew that if he could make you feel unworthy, exhausted, ashamed, or too late, you might reject the very provision God had already prepared. But these signs are not random emotions. They are evidence that heaven is reorganizing you from the inside out. Before the full supply can be carried, the receiver must be prepared. This is where many people misunderstand their own story. They look at the waiting, the loss, the slow progress, the season where every answer seemed delayed, and they call it abandonment. But sometimes, what looks like abandonment is actually divine arrangement. Sometimes God is not withholding provision from you. He is walking you toward the field where provision has already been placed. Ruth did not know this when she lost what was familiar. She did not know that grief was moving her toward destiny. She did not know that choosing faithfulness over comfort would place her in the exact field where her future was waiting. She only knew the next right step. She followed Naomi. She entered a foreign land. She went to gather what others left behind. That kind of humility is not easy. To glean is to accept small beginnings. To glean is to keep moving when life has reduced you to what feels like fragments. But Ruth showed up. She did not sit in sorrow waiting for heaven to drop everything into her lap. She moved toward what was available, and while she was moving, Boaz saw her. That was not coincidence. That was divine positioning. The field, the timing, the owner, the need, and the favor were all arranged before Ruth understood the plan. And this is what you must understand. God does not begin preparing provision when you finally ask. He sees ahead. He knows the need before the crisis has language. He prepares the answer before the question fully forms. This is the meaning of divine provision. God is not reacting late to your emergency. He already looked ahead. He already perceived the need. He already arranged what would be required before you reached the moment where you thought everything was falling apart. The provision was never absent. It was waiting in the place your obedience was leading you toward. That is why the delay was not a failure of supply. It was a journey of alignment. You had to become the kind of person who could receive without wasting, carry without pride, and steward without fear. Every season that felt like lack was training your hands. Every quiet month of faithfulness was strengthening your inner capacity. Every moment you chose integrity when shortcuts were available was preparing you for something larger than survival. And now, before the next door opens fully, one question must be settled in you. Do you believe you are the kind of person this kind of blessing can actually land on? Not someone else. Not the people you admire. Not those who seem more polished, more spiritual, more qualified, or more visible. You. Because the deepest battle has not only been around money, opportunity, or timing. The deepest battle has been around identity. Somewhere along the way, pain taught you to question whether abundance could belong to someone with your history. But hear this clearly. You were not chosen because you were perfect. You were chosen because God made a decision about you before your weakness had a chance to speak. And what God decided, delay cannot cancel. There are areas of your life that heaven is reorganizing now, and some of that movement may feel confusing before it feels comforting. God is not asking your old fears for permission. He is restructuring the inner and outer rooms of your life so they can hold what is being released. The first area is provision and finances. Channels that once felt dry are being replaced. Sources you expected to carry you may no longer be the sources God uses. Unexpected income, unexpected connections, unexpected invitations, and unexpected favor may begin appearing from directions you did not plan. This will challenge the part of you that only trusts what you can explain. But the source of your provision was never the job, the person, the system, or the door. The source has always been God. The channels may change, but the provider has not. Do not reject what arrives simply because it comes differently than you imagined. Sometimes pride is hidden inside the need to understand everything before receiving anything. Let God surprise you. The second area is purpose and assignment. Clarity is increasing around what you are meant to build. Projects that felt stuck may begin breathing again. Ideas you buried may start rising with urgency. But be careful. Not every open door is your door. Not every opportunity deserves your yes. The provision connected to your name is attached to your assignment, not your distraction. Follow the peace that comes with specific direction. That peace is not random. It is the signature of divine alignment. The third area is relationships and connections. Heaven is repositioning the people around you. Some relationships will deepen without force, while others will quietly lose their place in your next season. Do not panic when certain people begin to drift. Do not chase what God is gently removing. Some connections were assigned to your survival season, but they cannot walk with you into your provision season. The people meant for what is next will not require manipulation to stay. They will carry wisdom, resources, encouragement, language, and confirmation that match where God is taking you. Some of them may arrive suddenly. Some may feel strangely familiar, as if your spirit recognizes their purpose before your mind understands their role. That is not coincidence. That is companion provision. And now, heaven is not only providing, heaven is restoring. There is an ancient word connected to wholeness, peace, and repayment. It means that what was broken must be made complete again. It means what was taken must not only return, but return with increase. This is not just survival money, this is restitution. This is God answering years that looked empty but were secretly being recorded. The time you lost, the opportunities that passed, the resources that should have reached you, the strength you spent trying to hold everything together, none of it was invisible to God. The world may forget what it cost you to remain faithful, but heaven does not forget. The direct line opening over your life is not only for your future, it is also a settlement for what the past tried to steal. You are not starting from nothing, you are receiving from reserve. But there is still one obstacle that must be named, because what remains unnamed can keep blocking what has already been released. The obstacle is not outside you. It is not a missing contact, a missing strategy, a missing degree, or a missing opportunity. The obstacle is the old belief that you are not the kind of person this level of provision happens for. That belief did not appear overnight. It was built through years of delay, disappointment, comparison, rejection, and unanswered questions. It gathered evidence from every season where you watched others receive what you were still praying for. It pointed at your failures, your past, your weaknesses, and whispered, "Not you." Maybe someone else, but not you. But evidence is not the same as truth. Evidence may speak about timing, but truth speaks about identity. And your identity was never rewritten by a hard season. You are still chosen, you are still called. You are still inside the category of grace that does not wait for human perfection before it releases divine provision. So the posture of this season must change. Begin with gratitude for what has already arrived, even if it looks small. Speak it aloud. Honor the little streams, because rivers often begin as quiet movements. Then take action in the direction of your assignment. Do not wait for everything to be visible before you obey. Provision follows aligned movement. And finally, guard what God is showing you. Stop announcing every seed before it has roots. Stop asking for validation from people who cannot discern the weight of what you carry. Move quietly, faithfully, and precisely. The open line is real, but your posture must remain aligned. Now hear this clearly. You are not only someone waiting for provision, you are someone being awakened into identity. The first identity is the cycle breaker. You are the one who stands where generations before you may have struggled and says, "This pattern ends with me." Scarcity, fear, limitation, and the old story of never enough will not keep writing the future through your life. The second identity is the builder. God is not sending provision only so you can consume it. He is sending it so you can construct something that outlives your emotions, your comfort, and even your name. There is something you are meant to build: a system, a ministry, a family legacy, a resource, a pathway, a testimony that will keep speaking after the season that birthed it is over. The third identity is the pioneer. You are the one who steps first into territory others were afraid to enter. Your courage may feel private, but it is not invisible. Someone is watching your obedience and learning that the door is real. The fourth identity is the lightbearer. When God makes his provision visible in your life, your story will become a lamp for people still standing in darkness. You will not only say that God provides, you will become evidence that he does. So release the old agreement that said you were too late, too broken, too ordinary, or too unworthy to receive. Let every comparison fall. Let every false limitation fall. The line has been opened. The season has shifted. What was prepared for you is moving toward you now. Step into it with gratitude. Carry it with humility. Build with it faithfully. And when the provision comes, do not shrink. Let your life testify that heaven still sees, still restores, and still provides.